Welcome back to this Firestop coffee break training. There are a few words I want you to understand as we talk about Firestop. If you hear these words during the training, or if you hear them from somebody else and you don't remember what they mean, just pop back into this video for a quick reminder. If you run into someone who's trying to learn more about Firestop, feel free to share this with them because the whole purpose of these videos is to educate people. If this is part of a training course that you're taking, please know that a version of this video will be available on our YouTube channel, so you can go there and grab it and share it with anyone you want. The point of this video is to capture the words or ideas that are unique to the Firestop world. The goal of this video is to help you build better. To make it easy for you to refresh if you ever need to, the words will all be offered to you in alphabetical order, and you'll see the word on the screen for a little bit so that you can scroll through and find exactly what you're looking for if you're trying to refresh. Here are the words that we're going to talk about, right there. Be sure to listen to this because you have to get the assessment questions right before you can move on to the next section, and all of these words will be in the assessment. Here are the words that we're going to look at. Let's start with the code, or the building code. The building codes are an important legal and professional obligation. Each trade is responsible for complying with their own code as well as the International Building Code. Plumbers, for example, are obviously obligated to comply with the plumbing code. Electricians have to comply with the electrical code. You get the point, right? But there are often things in the IBC, or the International Building Code, that will have an impact on the plumbers and the electricians as well, especially if they are self-performing their own Firestop, or even if they hire a contractor to perform the Firestop for them. If a trade hires a subcontractor to do their Firestop work, they're still responsible for overseeing that work. I could say the same thing about each major trade on a project. The more you know the codes, the better you can build, the more professional you appear, and the more you can reduce your team's liability. This is true of all the trades as well. Knowing the codes has helped me keep people out of hot water, and it's put me in a position where people are impressed. Between you and me, they're often more impressed than they really should be. They assume that because I know this little section of code that I know so much more than I actually do. I tell you this because I'm hoping that you want to do the same thing. I don't want you to think that you have to know the entire building code. It's just a few pieces here and there. And then, if you want to, you can build on it with other sections of code that are most valuable to you and what you do on a job site. My goal with this training is to help you build better and to reduce your liability. Also, to improve your professionalism. If that sounds like a good idea, then you're in the right place. So our next word for this segment is endothermic. An endothermic construction product is typically something that has chemically bound water. This chemical composition can improve the fire performance of any construction material. Think about it like this. If I gave you 2 pieces of paper and a match, but I sprayed one of those pieces of paper with water, which one will burn faster? The answer is obvious, but I want to talk to you about why. The water will cool the paper. The wet paper will consume more energy before it can heat up to a temperature at which it can burn. So the water will improve the fire performance, assuming that our goal is to impede burning, right? That's how this whole endothermic thing works. The water improves the fire performance of the construction material. Now, there are 2 major construction materials that are endothermic. Concrete has chemically bound water, and so does drywall. The moisture has to be pulled out of them before they can start to degrade, just like that piece of paper. Most Firestop products are not endothermic, but you can likely imagine that an endothermic product can dramatically improve the T rating of your Firestop performance. There's a product created by 3M called EMAT. It was initially designed to protect offshore oil rigs. If there's a fire on an oil rig, people will die, and the damage to the oil rig will be insanely expensive. 3M created this EMAT, or endothermic mat, that has fabulous fire performance. They can wrap steel structures of an oil rig, and even in a fire, the steel will be protected. Now, I want you to understand how effective this stuff is. Remember the temperatures we were talking about in our fire test. The temperature at the 1-hour mark is 1,700 degrees Fahrenheit. At the 2-hour mark, the temperature is 1850. Well, steel loses 50% of its structural capacity at 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So when I say this stuff is capable of protecting steel, that is what I'm talking about. Except I'm guessing that a fire on an oil rig is going to be a lot higher temperatures than that. Here are two ways that this product has found its way into our construction world. First, it could be used to provide T ratings on floor applications. That's a whole different discussion from wall penetrations, and we'll tackle both of these in this training. The other application you might run into is something related to membrane penetrations in walls. The first time I saw this was on City Center in Las Vegas. The architect wanted these Lutron panels located in the corridor wall of the Aria Hotel. There are 4,000 rooms in that hotel, so somewhere around 4,000 panels. And at the time, 3M was the only manufacturer with a product capable of achieving the requirements of ASTM E814 and the code required T rating. 3M actually spent the money to test their EMAT on the Lutron panel, and that could not have been a cheap test. But they cornered the market on these types of applications with this product. I'm guessing that their patent expired because now there's a number of other Firestop manufacturers who have similar products. If you need more information, please reach out to 3M or your favorite Firestop manufacturer to learn more about the products that they have and the fire tests that they have available. We'll cover some of them in this training. The next word I want to talk to you about is an engineering judgment, or an EJ. You see, Firestop manufacturers have invested millions of dollars to give you the tested and listed systems that you put in your submittals. But Firestop should not be used to fix construction defects. I say that, but you and I both know people do it all the time. And no Firestop manufacturer can stay in business if they test all of these wonky and weird applications. So, an engineering judgment is something that you use when you don't have a tested and listed system that matches your field condition. You'll hear me say time and time again that all you need to do to get Firestop right is to make sure that your field work matches the paperwork. And when you have one of those weird and wonky applications where they don't match, you need to make sure that they do match so that you're protecting your firm from liability. So you need to get an engineering judgment so that you can make sure that your field work matches your paperwork. Does that make sense? We'll talk about it a lot more. And if this is on a YouTube channel, please check the notes section because I'm going to give you a handful of resources from the International Firestop Council regarding how to evaluate an engineering judgment and a bunch more. But if you're watching this in the training, then you're going to hear a whole different section on engineering judgments specific to the conversation that we're having. The next word I want to be sure you understand is intumescent. Intumescent Firestop products will expand when they're exposed to higher temperatures, such as those in a fire. There are a number of different chemical compositions that can cause a product to expand or to intumesce, but the most common one is graphite. If you see a sealant with black, silver, gray specks, those are graphite flakes, and that is what makes it intumescent. However, there are several other chemical compositions that can do something similar. Please know that different products expand at different rates, at different temperatures, at different percentages. Some will expand double their size. Some will expand up to 600 times. Some will expand at lower temperatures. Some will require higher temperatures. Some will even have two different temperatures that will initiate the expansion process. There are products that create a hard char or a burn layer, and some that will create a soft char. Some products expand in every direction, and some expand in a single direction. All of this to help you remember that you cannot use these products interchangeably even when they're from the same manufacturer. You have to follow the listed detail and use the product that is called out in that detail. If you ever have questions, call the manufacturer for help. Next up, I want you to understand the whole idea of standards, and there are so many different standards that you're going to run across in construction. You'll find them in the building code. You'll find them in your project specifications and on your product cut sheets. If you don't know the standards, it makes it really difficult to understand what is in the specifications or which standards are code requirements and what might be important and why. We'll talk about a few of the standards that are specifically related to this scope, but there are so many that are still important to understand. You can see all of these in the outline. It's also important to not get them confused. For example, ASTM E84 is assessing a product for flame spread and smoke development, whereas ASTM E814 is assessing firestop penetrations. E84, E814, they're kind of close, and people often get them confused if they look at them as something that's just a number. However, if you look at them as what they do, it's easier to keep them straight. There are a ton of additional resources as well. All the Firestop manufacturers have training programs that you can join and sales reps that you can reach out to for help. You probably have a local ICC chapter, and you might want to consider joining it just to be around people who can answer any of these questions for you. Additionally, there are groups like ASPE, the American Society of Plumbing Engineers. They have a lot of educational content and meetings where you can connect with people and you can learn from them and from the presenters. There are an array of other professional groups who would love to have you join them. Here at Halpert Life Safety Consulting, we have a lot of content that we'd love to share with you as well. Of course, we have our paid content, which you can find on our website, and we also have free content that you are more than welcome to consume, to share, and to use to educate others. You're welcome to use any of our YouTube or blog posts to support what you're doing as well. We have a blog where we've been posting since 2015. We're on the standard social media channels, either as Firestop Coffee Break Training or Halpert Life Safety Consulting. And please reach out to me on LinkedIn because we post tons of content there. If there's ever anything you need help with and you can't figure it out, you are always welcome to reach out to me. You'll hear me say, if you want to build better, we want to help. And that's not just a tagline. That is the entire goal of our business. Okay, so the goal of this video was to bring you up to speed with a few terms that you will hear throughout this training and to give you a bit of background so you understand what they mean and why they are so important to get right. It seems that we've achieved this goal together, so I hope you find this information helpful, and I would love to see you in the comments section so I can know what you think I did right or wrong, if this is too long, if I'm missing information that should be in here. You can pop it in the comments or you can email me. Either way, I would love to hear from you. And with that, I will see you at your next Firestop Coffee Break training. Thanks so much for your time.